Here's Goodnight Olive making her move to take the lead by a head around the far turn. Raise Kane has nearly 10 lengths to make up, so does Scooby Guando, verifying the leader. Top of the stretch, Cap It Trice is coming onto the outside. Up to the mark is running late behind Master of the Seas. Set piece down the center of the course. Master of the Seas alongside Annapolis. Here's Elusive Princess coming after Maj, and Mission of Joy tries to find room between that pair. Maj has the lead. Mission of Joy second, Elusive Princess third. The champ in front. Goodnight Olive chased all the way. Tap It Trice! Tap It Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
And welcome in, everyone, to the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. We've got a preview of a huge Saturday to come where we've got the Jenny Wiley Stakes, the Lexington and the Giants Causeway on a Saturday card where the forecast says maybe some sun. We saw the sun peek out. It was kind of interesting during the post-race interview today when Master of the Seas trainer Charlie Appleby was interviewed. He squinted a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute, is there sun in his eyes? That was wonderful to see. Hopefully we'll get some better weather. It's been a sloppy mess Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at Keeneland, but the weather forecast looks better for tomorrow. Sunny skies, temps in the upper 60s. So if you're heading out to the track, should be a great day for racing. If you're playing from home, should be a more fair racetrack, right? The horses near the front obviously have been very good in most of the races this week in the slop. That continued throughout much of the card today. Also continuing today was a rather good hot streak. 5 winners on top here again for the second straight day. That's now 14 for the week. And dating back to the finale on Sunday, 15 for the last 28. That's the kind of run we want to get on every few meets here. So we got to ride it and try to do the best we can to continue that streak. We'll see how it plays out on Saturday. As for the action on the track today, pretty interesting. Brad Cox had a couple winners. That's not so interesting, but they were both from Turfway, both with Axel Concepcion riding. So one of those produced a really nice payoff, $16 plus that we had that one. Favorites just dominated today. I looked up a stat in the database. At one point, favorites had won 6 in a row, races 2 through 7. I only found 3 other instances since we went back to dirt at Keeneland in the fall of 2014 where favorites had won 6 in a row. Now, that 7th favorite was thwarted, and then we came back and won 2 more favorites at the end of the card, including Master of the Seas winning the Maker's Mark Mile. So we ended up with 8 favorites in 10 races. Then we had the nice $16 horse. If you're going to have one price horse, you hope to have it to win the day. And we did have that one. Then the other non-favorite to win was a horse we hit in the first race, only at 2-1 odds, but $6 was the second best payoff of the day in the opener today. So as we look across, speed was very good. Will that continue? We're going to have a drying out racetrack. We talked about that last night, thinking that if the rain kind of pushed back a little longer today, that we may have a drying out racetrack on the Friday card. That wasn't the case. With the rain stopping overnight as it's expected, and we're not supposed to get any more in Lexington, we might end up with a good racetrack tomorrow, not fast, but it won't be sloppy. They'll get air into it. They'll be able to harrow it probably at some point in time and open it up, before the races. So that might be a good situation. You'll want to watch the workout tabs, when they're posted on Equibase in the morning. See how fast the workouts were in the morning, the track conditions. Of course, if you're local and you can get out to the morning, the Saturday morning program at Keeneland would be a great day to go out and do that. Otherwise, keep your eye on social media. Check the Today at Keeneland broadcast tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, where Scott and Gabby will open your day for you and give you a sense of how the track is and how it may play. I think it'll be fairly tight. I think it'll have a good base under it. I don't think it's going to be deep and tiring. I think we're going to have a good racetrack for the racing on Saturday. That's the way we're going to handicap it. As for the turf course, look, Mother Nature did what Mother Nature did, and I don't think we're going to see a firm turf course at any point in time over the next couple days at Keeneland. It's going to take a while and some warmth to dry that out completely. So, there's going to be a turf course with some give. It was yielding today. It could very well be yielding for the races tomorrow as well on Saturday as we look ahead to the April 13th card. But certainly good at best, and I don't think it'll be good. I think it'll definitely be yielding, and that's the kind of turf course that we will handicap for. So good day, good start to the meet here. Of course, we had 3 days opening weekend, 3 days so far this week. So we're 6 days in to this 16-day meet. We've got 10 more days to go. But right now we're looking good. We're $58 plus right now to the good in our top selections for the meet. So we've got a little buffer to play with, but we don't want to give it back. We want to keep adding on and seeing how we can do here with our handicapping. We've got 11 races to get to for Saturday. So without any more reviews and pats on the back, let's get into the handicapping. We're only as good as the next one. So let's try to hit the opener on the Saturday card. Let's take a look at the overview, the snapshot, if you will, of this racing program coming up for Saturday. 11 races, 3 stakes races, the Giants Causeway in the 7th, Jenny Wiley in the 9th, the Lexington in the 10th. Now, there's a middle pick 4 added because this is an 11 race card. So races 4 through 7 will also be a pick 4. That's not typical, right? We usually have an early pick 4 and a late pick 4, early pick 5, late pick 5. We still have those on Saturday, but the addition of that extra multi-race wager comes races 4 through 7 with the middle pick 4. That middle pick 4 will include the Giants Causeway. Giants Causeway will kick off the turf pick 3. That will be on races 7, 9, and 11. You know, I put my key plays. If you've been watching the podcast here throughout the season, the key plays are in orange. They just coincidentally work out to be the 3 stakes races. I love the stakes races on this Saturday card. That's not always the case for key plays. For instance, we like the winner in the stakes race today, of course, Master of the Seas, but what are you going to do at 3 to 5? Great horse to watch, great horse to use in multi-race bets, but there wasn't a lot of money to be made intra-race with him. So we actually have some horses that we think can pay decent prices in the stakes races, and we're going to attack them. So those are our key plays coming up on the Saturday card. Let's get to that opener. Starts the early pick 5, first post 1 o'clock. And in the pick 5 opener, let's go to the handicapper selectors box. You can get these picks at Keeneland.com. All the selections are out there each and every day from Scott Hazelton, Tom Leach, myself, Gabby Gaudette, and Kim Nelson. We're going to start things off here in the opener, and you don't have to look far to find the pick. First name on the sheet, Gloriette, the 1 is the pick for me in race number 1. This is a 5.5 furlong dirt sprint maiden claimers. We do not get many 5.5 furlong races at Keeneland, folks. In fact, there's only been 13 of them run since we went back to dirt in the fall of 2014. Only one of those run in a spring meet. This is an oddball distance. It's bottom level maiden claimers at a dash trip. You should try to make the lead in this race and go all the way. I don't care if there's a track bias. I don't care if it's sloppy. You want in a maiden claimer going 5.5 to have some speed. Gloriette does look fast enough maybe from the rail to kind of get out there. Has a bullet workout for this for trainer Ben Colebrook. I thought it was interesting. There haven't been that many 5.5 furlong races here at Keeneland, but Ben Colebrook won one of those. It was back in 2018. But it was a 5.5 furlong maiden race with an offspring of Munnings. Well, he's got a filly by Munnings in this particular spot. She should be speed from the rail. Coming in from Turfway Park, it was a good day and a good week for the Turfway runners. They won 5 on the card Thursday. Today, 3 more from Turfway, including those couple Brad Cox trainees we talked about. So Turfway runners have won 8 races over the last 2 days at Keeneland. Maybe we'll get that started with a 9th with Gloriette, my top choice in race number 1. As for the other handicappers across the way, Gloriette also the top pick in here for Kim Nelson. Stuck on You, the 10, and Let's Go Brandy, the 11. Get the other top picks from our handicappers here. And I had the race 1, 3, 4, and 10. I think you could use the 10 Stuck on You for sure as a potential horse in the multi-race wagers if you're looking to go deep here. I wouldn't be singling Gloriette in here. I like the 1, but not a single situation. 1, 3, 4, and 10, all horses that I give serious consideration to. The 11, Let's Go Brandy, top pick in here for Gabby and Scott. This one's coming out of a very bottom level, 12-5 at the fairgrounds. Good debut. Could come back in the second start and run well. Eric Heitzman trains there. He's only got 1 win on the year from 17 starts, limited opportunities. Let's Go Brandy for a smaller outfit, but could win here at Keeneland. But you got to beat Wesley Ward. You got to beat Ben Colebrook. You got to beat Eddie Keneally. Eddie Keneally trains at 3 in here. Missile. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you in maiden claiming races here at Keeneland, Eddie Keneally is just a powerhouse. He's got 20 maiden claiming wins on the dirt here at Keeneland. Only Brad Cox has more. Brad Cox has 21. Think of the operations. Brad Cox versus Eddie Keneally, and they're 21-20 in this kind of category. Maiden claimers on the dirt, and Eddie Keneally's horses win 26% in Keeneland maiden claimers. He brings the right ones in the right spots. I expect number 3, Missile, to be very effective in this particular spot. 1, 3, 4, 10, the way I would go in race number 1. Let's move now to the second race on this 11-race card. Pick 4 starts in this particular spot. 80,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime. You know we go over this each and every night, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say it again. Non-winners of 2 lifetime. These horses have 1 career win. Who's got the best win on the resume? It's been an excellent handicapping angle throughout this meet and throughout my entire handicapping career, no matter what track I'm playing, what level of racing I'm playing. In this particular spot, number 4, Liam's Champ's got one of the best maiden wins on the record, winning at Aqueduct back in March and Open Maiden Special Weight Company in March of 2023, coming off the layoff. The best maiden win in this particular field goes to number 3, the Roan Runner, won an Open Maiden Special at Fairgrounds in December. I give that Fairgrounds December maiden special a little more love than an Aqueduct one during the month of March. So 3 and 4 have the 2 best maiden wins in this race. So they're going to be high on my list of horses that I'm looking for in race number 2. You see the 3, the Roan Runner, top pick in here for Tom. Liam's Champ, the 4 is my top pick, as well as Kim Nelson. The 6, St. Benedict's Prep, one you respect in here, because not only this horse didn't win a maiden special, but this horse won a maiden claimer here at Keeneland for $50,000. So a high-level race, a win over the track, that trumps a lot here at Keeneland. We know how the horses for courses perform. 1 start here for this Daughter of Flatter. It was a nice win in 50,000 company. Again, Ben Colebrook trains this one. We've got Ben picked on top in the opener. He could sweep the double, a 1-6 daily double. All Ben Colebrook would not be a surprise. But I think the 4 and 3 are must-uses in this particular spot, as well as the 6 in between. So again, as you start that early pick 4, as you're talking about a pick 5 situation, I think 3 deep in here gets you home, 4, 6, and 3. For the most part, across the handicapper selectors box, you see a lot of agreement with that statement, with the exception of number 2, Rosie Bay. That is the top choice in here for Scott. This one did also win a maiden special, but it was at Turfway in the dead of winter back in 23. I don't rank that as highly as the Aqueduct win or the Fairgrounds wins, but Rosie Bay, certainly for Bill Morey, has good form coming off the 2 races at Turfway. And we mentioned the Turfway horses have been running lights out this week. Now, Rosie Bay does come from off the pace. The kind of horse has not won in sprint races historically at Keeneland, nor this meet. So in the sprint races, you certainly want to be as forward as you can. Number 3's got speed on the turn back in here. I don't think the 4 is going to be too far out of it. The good races on the dirt, a couple races back, were all forwardly placed. The 4, Liam's Champ, last time didn't get out of the gate. But Irad Ortiz is going to use the speed of the 4 in here. So again, 4, 3, 6, the way I take a look at race number 2. We go to the 3rd race on the program, and this was almost one of my key plays of the day. As I got deeper into the card, I started out and I said, okay, race 3 is one I like. But then I got to the later races on the card. I'm like, I like these more. So if there was a 4th key play of the day, it would probably come in this particular spot in here, because I do like the 12 horse Summon Your Courage. So as we take a look at the handicapper selectors box in race number 3, Summon Your Courage. Scott and I both have that one on top. Gabby's got her picked 3rd, got him picked 3rd. I like the fact that this horse, when running back here at Keeneland, I know it was October of 22. But again, you're trying to find horses who like Keeneland and run well at Keeneland. If you go back to that race in your past performances, October of 22 for Summon Your Courage, pressing the pace all the way and then backed up and ran 3rd, beating 16 lengths. That doesn't sound like that great of an effort. But the winner that day was Extra Anejo, who won by like 9, was a speed merchant and just ran everybody into the ground. This horse did all the dirty work chasing a future horse that a lot of people thought was a major Kentucky Derby prospect. Extra Anejo did not pan out physically and health-wise and never developed into a top-notch horse, but that was as good a maiden win as we've seen in a long time at Keeneland that day. And Summon Your Courage was going nose-to-nose with him for a while before backing out of it, and again, still ran 3rd and didn't get absolutely drubbed in a field of 10. That tells me Summon Your Courage actually ran a better than it looks race the one time over this racetrack. I know it was a long time ago, and now we're dropping from maiden special in for the maiden claiming tag, but William Walden gets Irad Ortiz to ride here. I think this is a go time sign getting Ortiz for this barn. So I'm looking for the 12, Summon Your Courage, to be one of the key plays early in the card for sure, and one of the best bets on the card overall. As for the others in this particular race, Summon Your Courage, top pick for me over the 4 and the 8. Eric Ridge and Air It Out. Those also happen to be the top picks for Kim and Gabby. Tom's on a price horse in here, True Faith. He's almost on the island here. Not much love around the bend for True Faith, the Rudolph Brisset trainee. Adds blinkers for the first time and drops in class after a debut. This might be Tom Leach's long shot play of the day, and he's awfully good with these kind. Be sure to check out tomorrow's preview show today at Keeneland to get Tom's updated pick for his long shot play of the day. But he had a good day today. He and I both were teamed up on that nice 7-1 winner that paid $16. So keep an eye on True Faith in race number 3. Certainly one for the exotics you want to throw in under. This is a good trifecta race because I really do like the 12 on top in here. And so I like to play trifectas when there are 10 or more horses in the race because losing tickets pay the winning tickets. That's how parimutuel works. If you've got too few horses in the race, if it's only a 7, 6, 8 horse field, the trifectas aren't going to pay that much. You know, there's just not that many losing combinations to pay the winners. You need big field sizes to get big trifecta payoffs. So in this particular spot, you've got a field of 12, a horse I feel really good about putting on top and summon your courage. So take the 12 on top, use as many as you can afford on the underside of the trifectas and try to hit something a little bit bigger in this particular spot. Tom's horse, True Faith, one that you probably want to add in there as well. So 12, 4, 8, 7, 1, Modern Day World, Modern Day Warrior, the one. Probably not a winner, first-time starter for Wesley Ward. We don't see first-timers win 7/8 of a mile in maiden claiming ranks very often. Modern Day Warrior did scratch from a race today to run in the race on Saturday. That's usually a pretty good sign. Wesley's horses are firing pretty well at the meet. So I would use that one underneath Modern Day Warrior. But 12 over the 4, 8, 1, 7, something like that. 4 combinations for $1 that would cost $12 to play in a trifecta. So key to 12 over several horses is the way I would approach race number 3. To the 4th we go, and we go back to the snapshot, and you see race number 4 is going to kick off a middle pick 4. Again, if you're just joining us late on the program, there's a middle pick 4, races 4 through 7 added to this card, similar to what we saw on Bluegrass Day, but certainly unique to the other cards throughout the season. Because we have 11 races, this is the additional race wager in the middle of the card. Races 4 through 7, pick 4 action here. Maiden special weight, 6.5 furlongs here, and you've got Sprint Company for the 3-year-olds. First-time starters tend to do well at this particular trip in this age bracket. I think the first-time starters in this particular spot have a chance to run big. We got a couple of them in here. Let's Bounce, Red State, and Shadow Surge is the one I'm most interested in towards the outside. Shadow Surge, the 9, going to be my top pick. Also Tom's top pick and Kim Nelson. So some love here for this first-time starter. Trainer George Weaver does a really good job first out, winning 22% with a huge ROI. He doesn't get bet like trainers who usually win first out. That's why you get that nice ROI. But Shadow Surge was a $300,000 Keeneland September yearling by Speightstown. Irad Ortiz rides. That's probably a tell. When you get Ortiz and Weaver teamed up, they're 24% in tandem. So a lot to like in this particular spot with Shadow Surge. I don't think we're going to get a big price because the horses who have run really haven't done much. So sometimes when you get a race with these older maidens, you know, you're saying, I'd rather have experience than a first-time starter. But then you got to evaluate the horses who have run. Is there anybody in their past performance lines that you think is ready to step up and run a winning race and graduate? The one Brody has been decent at Turfway Park, but nothing spectacular. Low percentage connections. You want to take an 0 for 13 trainer on the year at Keeneland and Maiden Special Company. It's a $100,000 purse. The horses who are lining up for this one usually aren't intimidated by a Brody's cause for an 0 for 13 trainer. So no offense to the connections, but these races are generally won by the bigger outfits because there's a lot of money on the line. So Brody doesn't really interest me a whole lot. The other horses from Turfway haven't done, you know, a tremendous amount in their careers. Lose Legacies, 0 for 8 lifetime. So this just feels like probably one of the first-time starters comes firing out of here. The 7 Baxter, Brisset, and Gaffleon certainly won the respect in here amongst the first-time starters. I thought the 9 and the 7 were the 2 most interesting of the firsters and probably the most likely winners. The 16 Idol has raced, what a pedigree, by Curlin out of Teen Pauline. This is just blue-blooded pedigree, but didn't show much after a troubled start in the first start at Fairgrounds. Stone Street Stables brings this one second time, gets Joel Rosario to ride. I wouldn't be shocked if Teen Idol runs much better, but I don't know if I want to take that short of a price. This horse was only 7-2 with that pedigree at Fairgrounds, first out for Asmussen. So Steve's horses haven't fired tremendously here at Keeneland over the past couple meets. He did have a winner today, a Justify, in one of the off-the-turf races that scratched down to just a handful of runners, and it was almost a tap-in putt kind of situation. But I'd be a little leery taking a shorter price on the 16 idle. I would make that one beat me in this particular spot. 9-7. I would just try to get by with one of those two first-time starters, and a little bit of a gutsy call when you're taking two horses who have never run before, but those are the two that I would trust the most in here. Otherwise, you're starting to get into some big situations where you're going to have to trust using a lot of horses, and when you do that, the price of your ticket goes way up. And so I like good options in some of those other races where it's like 4 deep and they're good options. I don't like a race like this where I don't think there are that many good options to just try and find them. So I'm going to stick to the 9 and the 7 here in race number 4. As we switch things up now to the 5th race on an 11-race card, nothing starts in this particular spot, no multi-race wagers, but it will be the anchor leg, final leg of the early pick 5 and the early pick 4. This is a maiden special on the turf at a mile and a 16th. My assumption is we will get these races all on the turf on Saturday, but if there is a race to come off the turf, just like we had mentioned on the Friday preview, this is probably the spot. It's a mile and a 16th maiden race. And so we've got 2 stakes coming up later in the card. Of course, the Giants Causeway and then the Jenny Wiley. They're going to do everything in their power to keep those races on the turf, which they will. Those races, no question, will be on the turf. So do they want to tear up the turf course a little bit, or is the turf course in good enough shape to handle this 5th race also on the grass? This one could come off, but let's handicap it like it is a turf race. We'll adjust in our picks tomorrow if we need to go off the turf. And, of course, you get those updated picks in the consensus grid page at Keeneland.com that I'm showing you here on the podcast. I do update the picks there. We also update them in our send out in the morning that we have from Substack. If you want to join my Substack, it's jeremy.plonk at Substack and get emails sent to you each racing day. And of course, on the TV feed, we'll update picks as well. But let's handicap race number 5 like this thing's going to be on the turf. Be optimistic, and I think we will get this one on the grass. Spaladay is the pick all the way across by all 5 handicappers. We've had that, I think, once at the current meet. This will be the second time that we've all been in agreement in this particular spot. Chad Brown chains Spaladay. She comes in from Gulfstream Park off a 1 career race. She got absolutely no pace help that day, and she had absolutely no speed. She came from 10th, ended up finishing 3rd, beating a length behind really slow fractions. Any better break, any better pace scenario, you'd have to think this one gets to the winner's circle. She's by more than ready out of Day at the Spa. You remember Day at the Spa here at Keeneland? She not only won the First Lady at Grade 1, she also won 2 other major stakes, graded stakes on the turf here at Keeneland. She's got one of the all-time turf filly resumes here at Keeneland, a 3-time major stakes winner here. So you have to assume, that Spaladay is going to like the course here at Keeneland and certainly has license to be awfully good. Now, Day at the Spa was pure front runner, right? Remember her? She went to the lead and just said, come and get me, and they couldn't more often than not. Her daughter here showed no such speed in the career debut. That was from the rail in the debut, and sometimes horses don't handle the rail the first time, a little claustrophobia. She's got a horse to the inside this time. Pin Up Betty draws the rail. So Spaladay gets the 2-hole, which will help save ground, of course, but it might be a little bit better for her to break with some horses around her and not have that space between the gate and the rail and then have the pine there. And maybe she just got a little intimidated from the start, being from the rail the first time. I expect her to perform very well. We all do. She's picked on top here by all 5 handicappers. But the caution is maiden specials on the turf here at Keeneland do not produce favorites very well. It's a very low percentage, 25% winning favorites. I mean, that's a solid 11, 12 points lower than what you see on average for other races. So if you want to take a shot, this is a good spot to do it. I just think she's going to win. So I'm kind of like bucking the trends in this particular spot. And one of the reasons I'm bucking the trends here is because the horses I find as an alternative to her that I'd like to play also have a little bit of a knock. That being the 9 Ready for Cheryl. She's another absolute blue blood. Like the 2 Spaladay, she's by more than ready. Same really good middle distance turf sire. On the dam side, she's out of Perfect Cheryl, who was fantastic. Multiple grade 1 winner for the Fipke stable. Ready for Cheryl could be anything. I mean, she's got an excellent workout pattern. She's got a trainer in Roger Hatfield, who's still at his advanced age, gets first-time starters ready to go. But first-time starters don't win turf routes here at Keeneland. I mean, I went back and looked. We've had 102 of them in the spring meets, maiden special turf routes. 102 of them. 7 first-time starters have won out of 102 races, and 4 of those came in miles. So only 3 out of 70 races at this distance or longer, 3 out of 70 have been won by first-time starters. So I can't like jump off Spaladay because I'm just searching for a price. when the horse I like next best has numbers like that working against him. So I'm kind of like, I respect the 2, I respect the 9. The trend said you could kind of go a little bit somewhere different. If you were to get off the reservation of the Blue Bloods in here and the Atfields and the Browns, watch out for number 6 in here, Wine and Waves. This is one I've got in here. I've got this one picked third. I've got it 2, 9, and 6. Wine and Waves is interesting. This could be the price because it was a nice even sprint debut for trainer Al Stahl. I love even running sprinters when they stretch out for the first time. They're not speed crazy, but they're not horses that are devoid of early foot. Wine and Waves is probably pretty forward coming out of a 5.5 race, but not speed crazy. And going around 2 turns, there's plenty of pedigree by Vino Rosso, a Breeders' Cup Classic winner out of a Malibu Moon mare. The 6 is the interesting horse. So while I think we're all on the same runner here, Spaladay, and plenty of reason, it's Chad Brown. Nobody's won more maiden specials on the turf here than Chad. He's had a good meet already to start. You get top rider Tyler Gaffalione. Everything says the 5 except the history of these maiden specials on turf, which say you don't have to accept the favorite. They do win 1 out of 4, though, and this looks like perhaps the one. 2 over 9, 6, but if you're going to go for a little bit of a price, the 6 would be the horse to take a little stab at. To the 6th race we go. Pick 6 starts here. Pick 6 was hit on a very chalky afternoon, of course, on Friday at Keeneland. So no carryover as we head into the $1 pick 6 on Saturday. This race is an allowance optional claimer going 1 mile and a 16th on the main. And as we take a look at the picks across the way, Julia Shining is even money in the morning line. I've got her on top. She's by Curlin out of Dreaming of Julia. She's got a pedigree to love it here at Keeneland. And, of course, she's got the running lines that show she loves it here at Keeneland. She won her debut going 7/8 of a mile back in the 22 fall meet. She came back here in the Ashland Stakes, grade 1 in the April of 23 season. Got beat just 3/4 of a length that day. She's run well here at Keeneland. She's training down at Palm Beach Downs in Florida, coming north. The Snowbird comes north for the first time. She's run well, freshened in the past. She won her career debut, as we mentioned. So I'm expecting Todd Pletcher to have her ready to go. Nobody's won more allowance route races here on the dirt than Todd Pletcher. She's in the right hands. She's drawn very well. Luis Saez has not had a great start to his meet, though. But you know, Luis Saez can get cooking here at Keeneland. I expect Julia Shining to run a good race. She does come from off the pace, though, right? And we haven't seen horses from off the pace have a lot of success here. But mostly you can say that about the 1-turn races for sure. The 2-turn races, we've seen a lot more closing kick be successful. We had opening week, we had 4 of the 5 winners going 2 turns on the dirt come from off the pace, including the big Sierra Leone close in the Bluegrass Stakes. Now today, even in the 2-turn races, the horses just stayed out front pretty much all the way. But on Thursday's card, with the same kind of mess, the same kind of soup, all 3 route winners came from at least 6 or more lengths back after the opening half mile. So they were able to close on Thursday. They were able to close in route races on the dirt Thursday, also opening weekend. It didn't happen much today. Small sample. Who knows? I'm not sure they're just going to eliminate Julia Shining's chances in here because you think a horse can't close. And we're going to get a different track with it drying tomorrow than what we've had throughout the course of this week. So do not hang your hat so much on I need speed, because that's what you saw today. That's what you adapt to. I would play with an open mind, but I think Julia Shining is the one to beat in here. Now, in any kind of situation, it's only a 7-horse field, mile and a 16th, short finish line at the 16th pole, right? So she's got to get it in gear. She'll need some pace to make that move. There is pace in here. Musical Mischief, the 7's got some early speed. Joke Cece, the 3's got early speed. And the 4 Little King's Princess has some speed. So there is pace to set up for her if you like her. I've talked a long time about an even money shot that I'm not wild about betting, but I do think she's the best horse to win, and I think she'll win race number 6, Julia Shining. As for the others across the way, Julia Shining top pick in here for Kim Nelson, but a lot of folks are just going to put her in their 2nd or 3rd thinking she'll run well, but not good enough. And I can see that. She can be beat. She's an even money morning line shot that does not look invincible to me. Now, the 7 Musical Mischief, she's also a blue blood by Into Mischief out of Sophia's Song. This is a $300,000 or $300,000 Keeneland September yearling purchase. She's got some California speed for trainer Michael McCarthy, bringing her in. She's run on the turf. She's run on the main. She shipped in one. She came to Churchill and won in the fall meet and drew off and won easily. There'd be no surprise at all if the 7 Musical Mischief wins this particular race. She, to me, is the threat, and she's the one up front. and Julia Shining's the one from the back. So as you start the pick 6 or you play that middle pick 4, remember, middle pick 4 is going to be races 4, 5, 6, and 7. I think you go too deep in here. Even though Julia Shining's even money, she's got that late running style. And if you're going to beat her, it's going to be a horse who's got early speed and just takes them wire to wire. That, to me, the best of the speed horses is the 7. This is a classic too deep situation in here. And a lot of times you don't want to go too deep because it doubles the cost of your ticket. But in this particular case, if you can beat an even money morning line shot and you got 2 different running styles like that, I like the chance to go too deep in this particular spot. So I think it's justified. Race number 6, use the 2 and the 7 if you're playing that middle pick 4. It's also the kickoff leg to the pick 6. So if you're playing the pick 6, races 6 through 11 on the card, I would start the pick 6 too deep as well. Next up is the 7th race. It's the Giants Causeway Stakes. The Giants Causeway, the start of the late pick 5. 3 stakes races in that late pick 5, races 7 through 11. It's also the start of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, races 7, 9, and 11, the Turf Pick 3. And it's also one of my key plays of the day. I love the trends and the angles and everything that adds up to a horse that, frankly, I think is too high in the morning line. No shade to morning line maker Nick Tamero. It's tough to make a line on a big field of 12 like this, and she hasn't run in a while. But I will be surprised if Love Reigns ends up 8-1 in here. I like her a lot. Now, you look around, and she's only picked by me and then Gabby second. So there are other options in this race. So Nick may be closer to right than I'm thinking. I would be happy with that. There have been plenty of times at this meet where I thought horses were going to get bet that they didn't, and we got some overlay prices. The Brad Cox horse who won today and paid $16, a pure example. I thought that horse would be 4 or 5-1, not 7. That was a good overlay price. Hopefully we can get that on Love Reigns. Now, why do we like this one so much in the Giants Causeway Stakes? Love Reigns hasn't run since last August, right? That doesn't sound good. Wesley Ward, the last 2 years in this race, brought horses off seasonal debuts. His last 2 winners of this race, Campanelle, Twilight Gleaming, were also horses who had experience here at Keeneland in the past. They came back off long layoffs. They won this race. He also won this race in 2017 with Lady Aurelia. Perhaps you heard of her. She, too, was making her first start of the year. This is what Wesley does with his good 3-year-old filly turf sprinters, or his good filly turf sprinters. He brings them back first time of the year in the Giants Causeway, and he wins. Not only is it Wesley Ward, the top trainer in all of Keeneland turf sprints, his dominance in turf sprints is almost as good as it is in his 2-year-old baby dashes at 4.5 on the dirt. He also gets Joel Rosario to ride here. And the numbers just shine it out how good Rosario is in turf sprints here at Keeneland. And he dominates. I think he's got 13 turf sprint stakes wins, and nobody else is even close. Rosario's on the right one here. I know the outside post 12 sounds intimidating, but we've seen Bound for Nowhere. We've seen some other horses trained by Wesley Ward overcome that outside post. And the numbers aren't that bad for the outside like you would think. Now, you know, in a full field turf sprint, I love posts 3, 4, and 5. If I'm not using the 3, 4, 5 in these races, you know I like something else because it takes a lot to pull me out of those power posts. But I'm not enamored with the horses in the 3, 4, 5 posts in this particular spot. I do like Love Reigns quite a bit. Let's look at the field for the Giants Causeway. The 3 is Jill Jitterbug. The 4 is Ouvroy, and the 5 is BG Warrior. Of those horses in those post positions, I think the 4 Ouvroy might be the best of the bunch for a Keeneland turf sprint. Has one here over the course, going 5.5. But last year going a mile one here. But last year the Giants Causeway couldn't get in gear from a good post that day and ended up 9th, beating 3 lengths. Fractious and bumped at the start. So maybe if Ouvroy breaks a little bit better under a good speed jockey in Jareth Loveberry, maybe they can get the 4 into this race. But I love the 12 in here, Love Reigns. The other one to watch, I think, is the 10, Breeze Easy. Breeze Easy is my second choice in here because of the soft turf conditions. This is a Great Britain bred out of Bated Breath. There's pedigree on both sides of there's pedigree on both sides to like the soft going. And one time on a yielding turf that shows up in the form at Aqueduct, ran a good second, beating just the nose in that particular spot. Breeze Easy is going to like soft turf conditions where a lot of these really just don't have much experience at all in running on the soft. Roses for Deborah the 8 is a fantastic turf sprint filly, but when you look at her one shot in the yielding in the Turf Monster at Parks at 3-5, she got beat 5 lengths in running third. I mean, that's a mile getting beat in a turf sprint. So I don't think she handled the soft going that well. She's got a dirt pedigree by Liam's Map out of Bernardini. Perhaps that's a reason why she doesn't handle the soft turf. She likes it firm. She likes to feel her feet rattle under her a little bit. So I like Roses for Deborah as a horse. I just think in this particular spot, with some give in the turf course, there's a chance to beat her. I respect her. I'm going to put her third. But I am all over Love Reigns on top in here, and I'm going to use Breeze Easy underneath in the exotics. So 12, 10 all trifectas, 12 all 10. If we can get Breeze Easy underneath Love Reigns, I'm going to be very happy. And if you're looking at daily doubles, maybe you go Julia Shining and Musical Mischief in race number 6 to the daily doubles to Love Reigns on top. We want to try to hit her as many ways as we can because I love Love Reigns in this particular spot. So figure out you're going to single her in that middle pick 4 on races 4 through 7 if you like her as much as I do. The way I like her, she is a single in that pick 4, and I'm going to try to hit that pick 4 by anchoring to her at the end. As we look at all the multi-race wagers and the bets that come in and out of this race, for me, I want to try to maximize my opinion on a horse I love. Love Reigns is that one for me in the 7th race. Quick look at how the other handicappers see this one. Roses for Deborah picked on top. Elm Drive gets 3 number 1 picks in here. I don't have Elm Drive in my top 4. Maybe I'm missing the boat on this one. Turf Sprinter comes in from Santa Anita. The question here is, how will this horse run on other ground? You know, the shipping in the past has been on the dirt. We haven't seen this horse leave the pool table turf courses that she's run on in Southern California. Whole different ball game in Southern California on the turf. When I say pool table, it's like, yes, it's green, but it's short cropped and hard, like the felt on a pool table compared to what she's going to run on the soft going. So Elm Drive, she's got a nice resume. She's got good company lines on the West Coast. We respect those fillies that she's run against out there. But on this kind of turf course, you'd like her on a hot, dry day with a firm turf course, maybe shipping to the east. But that's not what we're going to see here. So I'll take my chances against Elm Drive. Give me the 12 all day Saturday and half the day Sunday, and hopefully we can pull this one off. Now we go to the 8th race on the card for Saturday's program. My own is 16th, a Lounge race in here. I've got Hot Pace with an underline written at the top of my past performances for race number 8. It's going to start a late pick 4 here on races 8 through 12. Hot Pace is one thing. Now you got to find out who can finish, because in races, even with front runners winning a lot here at Keeneland here at the beginning of the meet, when there have been hot paces going 2 turns, they've generally come back, and we've seen closers win. I think the top closer in here might be Brigadier General. I'm a little, I've got Brigadier General. I've got the 5 Haste Strike. I mean, there are a couple different ways you can look in this particular spot. Classic Catch is a horse who can win maybe from off the pace. Todd Pletcher and Irad Ortiz teaming up there. Transect, I think, is going to be up near the pace, inside speed there with Blinker. So I wouldn't play Transect on top. I think the 2 might be the best of the front runners to stick around. That's Tom's top pick in here. But Brigadier General, Classic Catch, and Haze Strike, the 5, are the 3 most likely winners to me in this spot, because those are the ones I think that could be finishing in here. But I do think you rarely see 3 closers run 1, 2, 3. And when you see my picks like this, 4, 7, 2, I think Transect is going to run 3rd in the race, or an underneath horse to use for the exotics, not necessarily a win contender for me personally. So 4, 7, and 5, the way I would shake this one out. And as you look across the handicapper selectors box, Brigadier General, picked on top by Kim and Scott. Also picked on top is Haze Strike, the 5, for Gabby. So I think if we can get, some combination of 4, 5, and 7 together here, I think it's a pretty good consensus amongst the handicappers in the grid. And that's the way we see race number 8. And we'll see if a horse can win from off the pace. But I do think there's a good sound amount of pace in here, horses that are going to go out towards the front. Let's go next to the 9th race on the card. The 9th race is the Jenny Wiley. Chad Brown has dominated this race. He's won it, 4 of the last 5 years. Favorites have dominated this race, winning the last 5 in a row, 8 of the last 11. Chad Brown has 4 horses in this race. So obviously Chad Brown is my key play in race number 9. But he's not. I'm going to go against Chad Brown in this particular spot. Yes, he's got 4 in here. He's got Fluffy Socks. He's got, who else has Chad got in this spot? Gina Romantica, who's a fine mare. He's got Beau Cache in this particular spot. And he's got a 4th one. Who's the 4th Chad in here? I thought he had 4 total. Surge Capacity, right. So he's got 4 in here. Let's bring the field up. It'd be a little easier to talk about it. Here is the field for the Jenny Wiley. And Chad's name's listed there. It'd been a lot easier for me to just do this to start with. But Chad's got 4 of the 10 in here. I just don't think any of them is a pure standout in this spot, and especially with the softer turf. Fluffy Socks is the top of the ground runner to me. She always strikes me as one when she ships west. I like to give her a shot out in the West Coast. I think she likes the shorter crop turf courses. Gina Romantica is the strongest of the Chad trainees, I think, maybe in this particular spot. She certainly has my respect. She's one that you'll want to watch out for. But on this kind of turf course, I think the 7 Surge Capacity is the best of the Chad Brown runners. 4 of 5 Lifetime. She has one on a yielding turf course at Saratoga. She's by Flincher, outstanding international runner. So she's got the pedigree to like softer going. She ran well in the Lake George. So of the Chad Browns, I like the 7 Surge Capacity. But the horse I like unequivocally in here is number 3, Elusive Princess. She absolutely will love this soft turf course. Her form in France was outstanding at high-level races over soft turf. She's got a great post position in here. She's second off the layoff, a beautiful form cycle move here. Trainer Arnaud Delacour got her a prep last time in Hillsborough, a race she had no chance in when they went 52, 117. The pace was so slow, yet she still ran on at the end. This was a good race for her first time back. And what it does, a 4th place finish in there, helps the price as she comes back because she doesn't look like, a knockout on paper. But I think she's a knockout in this spot. I think she's going to be near the front here. There's not a ton of early speed. And Alvarado won 2 races earlier in the week. He's riding well here at Keeneland. I love Elusive Princess. I thought her race was really, really good in the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. She ran 4th that day, beaten 2 lengths. Maj, the filly who beat her, is just a star. She almost won the Breeders' Cup Mile out of that race. She went from 3-year-old fillies into the Open Company Males Breeders' Cup Mile and led all the way and got her nose nipped at the end by the horse we saw win today at Keeneland in the Maker's Mark Mile, Master of the Seas. Maj is a star. She chased all the way in that race, got beat 2 lengths. The runner-up was really good, Lindy, that day as well. I thought she ran great in the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup to make me think she likes this turf course. Now she's going to get this turf course when it's soft, and with all that European form, give me Elusive Princess in race number 9. She's the 3 up against 4 Chad Browns. If you're going to beat 4 Chad Browns in a race Chad dominates, you better get a fair price. So we're looking for at least 4-1 here to really get excited on the win end. But if you beat the Chads with Elusive Princess in the multi-race wagers, you're not worried about what the price is going to be. I like her a lot in this particular spot. Give me the 3, Elusive Princess on top. Let's see how the rest of the handicappers have it here in the 9th race. Star Fortress top pick for Scott. Gina Romantica top pick for Gabby and Kim. And Tom's going with English Rose in here, the other international horse with experience who should love the soft going. English Rose, trained by Charlie Appleby, ridden by William Buick. Of course, the Godolphin team that won today with Master of the Seas. So they're looking for a sweep of the Jenny Wiley. And then, of course, Friday's big race, the Maker's Mark Mile. I've got English Rose. I'm looking for that handicap to parentheses. You've heard me say it before on soft turf. Give me that foreign pedigree, that foreign experience. They put the country in parentheses. Elusive Princess, France. Irish Rose or English Rose, Ireland. That's what I say when I say handicap the parentheses. I like those 2. 3 and 5. I'm heavy on the 3 in here, though. Give me a 3-5, 3-7 exacta. Look at some daily doubles. Like we said, 2 horses in the 8th race we like, the 4 and the 7, maybe the 5. So 4-7-5 in race number 8 towards the 3 in this race for a daily double play. I like Elusive Princess. Let's see if we can't get her home in the Lexington Stakes. Let's go to the 10th race on the card. The 10th race, or in the Jenny Wiley. The 10th is the Lexington. Let's see if we can't get a winner home in here as our 3rd key play pops up. Now, I might be a little stubborn here. I've been known to be that way as a horse player, but I really think Liberal Arts is a top-class 3-year-old. I love this comeback race in the Southwest at Oaklawn. I thought he ran great that day. He was coming on at the end. He galloped out like a monster, and I said that day, they're going to skip the Rebel. The Rebel was coming back on just 3 weeks. Skip the Rebel, come to the Arkansas Derby, and I was convinced Liberal Arts was going to win the Arkansas Derby. In the pre-race warm-up where they saddle in the infield, he looked like a powder keg, like $1 million. I went and bet more money on Liberal Arts to win the Arkansas Derby at that point. Then during the warm-up, he melted down. And the commentators on track were saying, yeah, he's starting to lose it a little bit. Then he got shuffled around a little bit going into the first turn, and he completely lost his mind. He caused an incident on the first turn. He was kind of out of the race. Then he made a big middle race move and then just emptied out. This horse has talent. I think Liberal Arts, honest to goodness, could be a top 5 horse in the Kentucky Derby. I think he's that good. He's in the Lexington because I think Robbie Medina wants to try to get him to the Kentucky Derby. So I am all in for Liberal Arts. Although I respect other horses in this race that we have here in the Lexington, I love this horse, and I think he's going to run a big race. Encino, there's a ton of respect for him as well. And Hades, the 5, is the horse from Florida, who on the front end is going to try to, get involved in this race like he did in winning the Holy Bull. Now, in the Holy Bull, he beat the next out winner, Domestic Product, the horse who won the Tampa Bay Derby. And the third place finisher that day behind Hades down in Florida was none other than 2-year-old champion Fierceness, who came back to run a hole in the wind in the Florida Derby. So Hades obviously comes out of a really, really good race. I just think he got away with one that day at Gulfstream. I think the pace is going to be a lot more honest here in the Lexington Stakes. And this is a race that has come back to closers historically. The Lexington Stakes is a mile and a 16th. And I think for a lot of horsemen and late blooming horses, trainers of late blooming horses, they kind of look at this as like a consolation prize. It's a mile and a 16th. It's not a mile and a quarter. It's not a mile and a half. It's not a mile and 3/16. And it's not the big long mile and an eighth races like all the big prep races are. Some horses who just couldn't last at a mile and an eighth come back to this race, so it gets a hot pace. Horses who really will never go a mile and a quarter are put into this race, and that contributes to a hot pace. The average winner of this race since going back to dirt 8 years ago has been 5 3/4 lengths off the pace after the opening half mile. That is one of the biggest closer angles you will see at Keeneland, period. This race always just seems to come back to somebody who's going to rally. I think there are 2 major closers in this race. So, like Hades, I have respect for. The Wine Steward, I have respect for. Nothing wrong with either one of those horses. Talented 3-year-olds, and they deserve their spot in here. But I think it's going to come down to Liberal Arts closing and Encino. Encino, I thought, was really good at Turfway last time. He ran down a horse named Epic Ride, who came back here and ran 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes last week. I thought he was really good. I'm going to get you a chance to see Encino last time, because if Liberal Arts melts down again, I think the horse who beats him would be Encino. Here's his win in the Battaglia at Turfway.
Encino makes a move for 3rd from the outside. Epic Ride has come away with the lead. Here comes Encino to the outside. Blue-Eyed George is trying to fight on. Bolted Midnight from the inside. A final furlong to run. And the John Battaglia Memorial. Epic Ride. Encino is testing him. Blue-Eyed George from the rail. Here comes Encino. Encino wins the John Battaglia Memorial.
All right, we will see if Encino can pull off what Tawny Port did a couple years ago for trainer Brad Cox. Come off the synthetic, come to the Lexington, win this race, and make it into the Kentucky Derby. Tawny Port ran 7th in the Derby out of this race 2 years ago. Brad Cox employing that same kind of tactic. Tom Leach caught up with him a little bit earlier in the week to talk about Encino's chances. Let's listen into that interview.
So, Brad, let's talk about Encino. Didn't run in the Bluegrass to go in the Lexington here. What was the thinking?
Look, the Bluegrass come up with a very good race. He's obviously never run on the dirt. We thought we'd give him a shot against, I wouldn't say lesser company. It's obviously a very good race on Saturday, but thought, as opposed to running in a grade 1, running him in a grade 3 made more sense. He's trained well here. He's had 3 works over this main track this spring, and hopefully he takes to the dirt. He's set up for a big run.
What impressed you most about that last race at Turfway?
He broke from the outside. He was wide throughout. He stayed on. I don't think distance is really an issue with him. He's bred to go, mile and an eighth beyond. So I think that was the big thing. And obviously going from a maiden straight to a stake, he was able to, show that he could compete at that level.
What's the upside you think is there for this one?
I think if he handles the dirt, I think it opens up a lot more options for him moving forward. When you obviously think synthetic horse, you think grass, and obviously if he can run on the dirt, that would open up a whole different but a whole lot more options for him moving forward, such as maybe the Kentucky Derby or Preakness or something down the line.
Does he move over the dirt here at Keeneland like he is going to be comfortable with it?
Yeah, his works have been solid enough. Like I said, he's had 3 here since he moved down from Turfway, and gallops out well, works fast enough over it. It's a good mover.
Of course, Brad Cox knows his way to the winner's circle in this race. We talked about Tawny Port going the Turfway route to win it 2 years ago. He's won this race 3 of the last 4 years. You go back to Owenport, you've got or Owendale, I should say, and then last year, of course, with First Mission. So Brad knows his way around winning this race. The real X factor is the Wine Steward. What will Mike Maker have first time back with this one? Hasn't run since the Breeders' Futurity when running a good race here over the Keeneland track. This is a horse who was supposed to get back to the races this winter, was slow to come around in Florida. Now he's had a nice long series of work since getting back on the tab at the beginning of March. 5-6 works off the layoff. That's what you're looking for. A nice target of 6 workouts. Wine Steward should be fit enough to run at my own 16th. The question is, what kind of development has he had from age 2 to 3? We never know that until we see these 2-year-olds come back at 3. But I would suspect if he comes back running as well as he did last year in the Lexington, that he could be a big factor in here. Here's the race from the in the Breeders' Futurity last fall when he ran second, beaten just a half length by Locke.
A lane off the rail, now 2 lanes off the rail. Here comes Locked, swinging wide with Northern Flame, a quarter mile to go. The Wine Steward with Locked moving up on the outside, and Northern Flame in between that pair. Top of the short stretch, here is Locked. Locked racing by on the outside for the lead. The Wine Steward is responding to the inside. Generous Tipper goes to third. The Wine Steward responding to the challenge so far. Here's Locked right alongside. Locked, the Wine Steward, it is locked to win the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity for Jose Ortiz. What a weekend for Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners.
So we've got a top-notch field, I think, for this year's Lexington. Again, some legitimate horses. You got horses who won the Holy Bull, the Street Scent Stakes, second in the Breeders' Futurity last year. This is a good group. Winner of the Battaglia and Encino. I really think it comes through the closers in this particular spot, though. 9 and 8 for me, big time. I saw one of the people in the comments. I read the comments every once in a while, and someone had mentioned about, are you crazy thinking that a horse from the Lexington is top 5 material for the Kentucky Derby? You only have to look back 365 days. Disarm came out of this race to run 4th in the Kentucky Derby last year. So you can go from the Lexington to the Kentucky Derby. And Disarm ran 3rd in this race, by the way, and ran 4th in the Kentucky Derby a couple weeks later. So do not be surprised if somebody in this race has some say. But maybe if they don't make the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness fits really well on space 2 weeks later. So this could have a very good impact on the Preakness Stakes as well. We saw First Mission last year from Brad Cox. He would have been one of the favorites, if not the favorite. He and Mage would have vied for favoritism had he not scratched out of the Preakness Stakes. But First Mission was highly thought of coming out of this race last year, and I believe it was Morning Line's second choice, maybe even Morning Line favorite for the Preakness Stakes. We'll have to go back and double check that edition, I think, of the Lexington Stakes. Let's see who the other handicappers have across the board in here. It's Encino for Scott, Hades for Tom. I'll take Liberal Arts. Hey, Lucky Jeremy, I like the name. I just can't take him. I'm happy that Gabby does, though, and if he wins, I'll be happy to look for a $2 win bet on him in the Kentucky Derby just for the name alone. And the Wine Steward, top pick in here for Kim Nelson. 5 handicappers, 5 different top picks on here. You got to love that. And I'm on the island with Liberal Arts. I'll take it every day as one of my key plays. So good luck in race number 10. 11th and final on the program. It's the Toyota Super High 5 race. Also the final leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. Again, if we're going to lose races off the grass, this would be the other contender to come off the grass. This is an allowance. I believe we had a maiden earlier on the card, though, in race 5 that we were saying might be the first choice to come off the grass. Plus, this would happen after the major stakes races. So we'll see what we end up getting here in terms of surface. But I thought the one Pure Poetry had a chance to go wire to wire from the inside. I like Sire Quality Road. He had 4 winners on the Keeneland Turf last year, hitting at a high percentage. You think Quality Road, you think dirt, but these obviously with the elusive quality from two generations back. The grandsire there, the sire of Quality Road, Elusive Quality, was a world record holder at a mile on grass. Pure Poetry has that kind of elusive quality kind of resume, running 2 times at middle distances and wiring last time at the fairgrounds. I thought the one Pure Poetry could send us out potentially a winner in what looks to be a pretty tough race. The 5 Royal Majesties got the parentheses going for him by Frankel, a British bred who began the career at Newmarket. Not only do they have the pedigree, some of these horses with the foreign designation to them, but they have experience training in Europe and racing in Europe, and they go out and train on soft turf and conditions that our horses would never see. We rarely get to run on a soft turf here, and we never get to train over it. So that's why I like those kind of horses in these particular spots. So I think the 5 Royal Majesty moves up for what should be soft conditions. The 11 Frontline Warrior, you get Frankie Dettori, you get Shug McGee, Yehi, Hall of Fame connections there. Warfront the sire hit 24% on the turf here at Keeneland last year. Those horses tend to like it. This horse ran once at Keeneland. He was part of that 24% winning here over the track. So I've got a 1-5-11 to send you out across the way. We've got some different thoughts from the other public handicappers, though. 1, 3, 4, 5, 9. Again, 5 handicappers, 5 different picks. We do not have a lot of consensus in races 10 and 11. And boy, does that tell you this could be a very interesting group of races in the late pick 4 and the late pick 5. You've got the 10th and 11th race with 5 handicappers taking 5 different horses each. If you've got a strong play that you like, if we can get off to a good start with Wesley winning the Giants Causeway from the outside there, now we're starting to look like we might be able to pick off something good, because there are going to be some fair prices throughout and no real heavy lead pipe cinch kind of favorites as the sequence unfolds. So a great day to bet the back half of the card. How many times has it been so far this meet where I'm like, I like the earlier races, there's a chance here, and later in the day we're just going to have to kind of adapt and see. I love the back half of the card, and that's why we do the snapshot. That's why we do the look ahead podcast, because the worst thing you want to do is be a couple hundred in the hole after the 4th race or something like that, 5th race, and you're getting to the back half of the card and your budget's gone for the day, right? Know where your plays are. My plays that I'm excited about on Saturday or later in the day, so I want to make sure I budget accordingly. Don't overbet early in the card. Bet early on some multi-race tickets if you want. If you think the weather's going to hold up and everything like that, you always have a chance to refund if you get into a situation where you change your mind. But get your budget in line and get your races lined up the way you want to play them for this Saturday card. 11 races should be a good one starting at 1 o'clock. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Keeneland Look Ahead. Hope you enjoy the day. Maybe we'll get some Triple Crown horses springboarded towards the Derby or the Preakness coming out of the Lexington Stakes. I'll be back tomorrow night on Saturday to preview the Sunday card. We've got 9 races, no stakes on the schedule for Sunday, but we'll get to handicapping on that one, and we'll talk about that all tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody. Good luck at Keeneland on Saturday.